Okay. Like now. Hi everybody. Welcome. We very last minute decided to throw together an atheist day thing. So we're just going to have the crack, as Robbie and Crafty would say. So welcome. We'll go around the room and introduce everybody. We have a few people that I haven't had on my channel yet. Badger's been on my channel, but I don't. Crafty and Jefferson haven't. So we'll start with you guys. Crafty Keela, tell us about yourself.
Hello. What to say? I'm a weirdo. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a weirdo. I'm happy to be a weirdo. I have a YouTube channel looking at conspiracy theories and trying to explain the sociology behind them, and the social aspects behind them. And I also do a lot of the I'm getting into more sociological streams. So I have a show called Eye on Society, where we look at different situations or issues in our society and why they're issues. And the big question for me is why. I was raised full-blown Catholic in the south of Ireland.
Was that really?
And
your yourself was raised Catholic. What a surprise.
I was raised proper Irish Catholic. And in and around 14-15, I split from the church. I renounced my membership of the church. I got a nice little letter back saying that you're no longer a member of the church. I was very happy with that. Before the new rules came in saying that you couldn't do that.
Do they frame those?
So yeah, I escaped.
I think you are the only one of us ex-Catholics that have actually procured that, and I'm kind of jealous about it, so I'll give you that. I think I was talking to Chris Shelton about it earlier today. So yeah, it would be nice to. I mean, it's not like it matters. Yeah, well, I mean, technically, it was never my decision. I didn't even want to get confirmed. In fact, the day of my confirmation was the day that I was like, oh, I really don't believe in this shit at all. So, but I was forced to. My grandmother so nicely told me that if I didn't do it, she would never speak to me again. So, but no, I never really believed in it. But because, technically I went through First Communion and confirmation, I am part of the Catholic Church. So.
Yeah, we didn't really get a choice in that. Although you could join a right. So Irish schools are very heavily influenced by the Catholic Church, including the public school system. So it doesn't matter if it's a denominational school or a public school system. They're still heavily controlled by the church. So you don't really get a decision on it until you reach secondary school, which is about 12, 13 years old. So I was able to decide at 14 that I didn't want to go to religion class anymore, because all they were doing, they taught a little bit of world religions and then taught how they were wrong. And that was our religion class. So I kind of said, no, thank you. And I was exempt. And then a year later, I put in my papers to be excommunicated or renunciated or whatever the fuck it's called.
Usually excommunicated.
Yeah. No, it was actually renunciated. It was a renunciation or some shit it was called back then. I make it sound like I'm old. It's funny. So I got my papers all sorted, and then my sister got really annoyed at me years later because she wanted me to be the godmother for her son, and I couldn't do it because I wasn't a Catholic.
Oops.
Well,
sorry.
That's a question, actually. Is that the same thing with the Church of England, I wonder? Can I not be a godparent because I'm a fucking atheist badger over here?
In the Catholic Church, no.
My daughter's a Catholic and she has godparents, and her godmother is not a Catholic.
I think, to be honest, being a badger might be more of a barrier than an atheist, actually.
I don't know. I think they like badgers. Although, don't they believe that no animal has a soul? So yeah, I think you're fucked there.
Ah, shit.
Especially the badger.
Sorry, badger.
Especially the badger.
It's all right. I was raised Protestant, so.
Oof.
I'm sure King Henry would have been fine with badgers.
Well, I have a story. I have a story about angry
No,
badgers.
wait,
I'll get
don't-
to.
Sorry, I'm interrupting before you've introduced everyone.
But no, that for the King Henry thing, though, it depended on which wife he had at the time.
Oh yeah.
So, saying.
I think Anne Boleyn was particularly keen on badgers. I'm just putting.
Yes, she was. So thank you, Crafty, for coming. We'll get to, how about Jefferson next, since he's also never been on my channel. Hello, Jefferson Spatchcock. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've been on MathPig's show quite a bit.
Yeah, we've been on plenty of streams together. You've just never been here, so.
Yeah, I have never been a guest here. Former fundamentalist Christian, homeschooled the whole bit, in the middle of rural America, kind of deconverted later in life around the age of 30. Kind of studied Bible history now, specifically New Testament. Going to get into Old Testament study because the Christians are getting kind of nuts in the U.S. Other than that, do some shows every once in a while. Usually lurking quite a few, MathPigs included. Sometimes Mandus, sometimes Brindbugs.
And you have a big
too.
debate with Gavin coming up.
Yeah, one of like 24. He just doesn't. He took the bait too. He's like, "What do you want to debate, Spatchcock?" And I was like, "How about the Bible?" And he comes back with debate topic: "Is the Bible true?" And I was like, "Gavin, oh Lord."
Yeah, I watched that happen.
That's a terrible topic, man.
But
You've already lost.
Gavin is such a good debater, and his evidence of being a great debater is the fact that he has debates coming out his ears. And as I told him last night, the reason people invite him on is because he's comical. He's fucking,
Yeah. Oh. And Crafty, I owe you an apology because me, Red Fang, a little bit of MathPig, but I don't want to. He doesn't have to apologize. But but we were kind of having a go at Gavin in your top chat, and I felt like maybe we were.
Oh, I don't give a shit.
Okay, all right.
I genuinely don't give a shit. Like,
fuck yeah.
For me, like, right, because you could see I was bringing up the comments slagging off James as well, even though I don't like the fact that people were slagging off James because, well, James is a cunt. Sorry.
You'll say it here on this channel because you know James isn't going to watch this.
Yeah, I forget that I'm on Manda's channel. I'm sorry. I need to tone it down a little bit. But yeah, so I was reading out comments, slagging off James, but I was like, these aren't my comments. It was funny, and then the fact that Praise came into the channel, into the chat, and proved why I had an issue with him moderating.
Yeah, I don't think he's self-aware enough to really get that. That was good.
He came in. The first thing he said is, "I'm an absolute bitch."
Excellent.
Oh, wait, that was his first comment.
Out of the gate?
Yeah.
That's a good thing to do. When he lets people know that he's going to be moderating a debate that you were removed from. Like, oh boy.
What?
Oh, that guy. It's just layers. There's a lot of layers there.
I thought you'd like that one.
Watch out for the other J.
Thank you, Jefferson.
Yeah, that wasn't really much of an intro, but yeah, there it is. But I mean, my existence on YouTube is pretty well connected with a lot of lulz cows on YouTube. So Jesus is Lord. A little bit of praise. That's more my brother's bag. But Gavin Hurleman, the disaster from New Zealand, that man hates my guts. So
that's like my stapler.
Sounds like someone I should ask to come on my channel and then forget about.
Yeah, you should,
yes,
Badger.
Make sure you ask him to work.
Speaking of Badger, it has been a fucking forever since you've been on here. I have missed you, sweetheart. How are you? Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Oh, I'm all right. I was going to say it's so last minute they even dragged me onto it. But I realized just now that I haven't checked my my email for like a month.
What is your email, Badger?
It's badger@cock.li.
Thank you.
So I realized I haven't checked my cock mail for like a month. So I thought I'd open it up while I was sitting here and just see what's in there. I've got one new email, and its subject line is, "We are a manufacturer of PVC film." So I think some spammers got hold of my cock mail.
That's the only feel you're getting there.
Have you checked your messages
That's
on
right about yourself,
MySpace?
MySpace. I haven't looked at MySpace for a couple of days. I should look at my MySpace. But yeah, I am Bad Tempered Badger. I very occasionally at the moment put videos on my channel, and I rant at the government on Twitter. And I rant at anything related to Star Wars on Twitter as well.
Fuck Disney.
Yeah, the Disney's non-canon. Legends purist. Also, I occasionally do story readings on my channel, and there's a lot of atheist stuff done like a little while ago, and I may do some more. I did a collaboration with Not Joyous not too long ago. That was fun. I did one with Mr. Sofa as well. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Hello.
You've been put in the hot seat like you just left.
Oh, I've got Battenberg downstairs.
Do you seriously?
Ooh.
I've just remembered I got this Battenberg.
Do you always have Battenberg though?
I try to always have Battenberg, yes.
It's the thing about Battenberg.
It's a
I've
classic
never
thing.
had it, never seen it, but
I like to have my Battenberg.
I only have it. I only have it in and around Christmas time because that's when my mom remembers to buy.
I like to have a good supply of Battenberg. It's important to me.
So Critical Cripple wants to know if you're single, Badger.
How
He's asking for a friend.
how can I specify both no and yes in one answer? As in no, but I'm not like a single person, so
You could just use the word Badger. It's not a bad word.
You
Yeah,
could
but
just
I-
emphasize that you are in fact a badger.
I want to like obfuscate it so that people have to
Figure it out.
Okay, let me clear this out. Badgers
Basically-
are solitary animals. They only come together during mating seasons, and then the male leaves the female because she will, if she actually has the pups while the male's there, he'll try to eat them, and she'll chase him off before that even happens. Does that clear things up for you, Badger?
That's true for the American badger. It's not quite so true for the British badger. We're slightly different creatures. British badger.
You're such a nerd, Brian.
We only talk to each other some of the time, and the rest of the time we just wander around eating worms like by ourselves. I agree with Jay Panic in the chat though.
Badgers are cunts.
Badgers are cunts. Especially this one. So
No badgers are not monogamous.
thank you for clearing that up. Thank you, Dave, for asking the question when you knew the fucking answer.
Yeah. So my answer is am I single? No, but I could be available as long as you don't mind me not talking to you for weeks at a time.
That's the best way to be.
Because I'm like I'm
That is a smart way to be.
I'm like an antisocial recluse essentially. So I just kind of like, oh yeah, I was going to reply to that message. Where is it in my emails? Oh, there it is. 2 months ago. I should probably actually reply to that.
What message is that?
Any message.
Any message at all? Okay, well, thank you, Badger. It's lovely having you back. Brian, what's going on?
I'm a nerd.
Oh yeah, that's a fucking understatement.
I have a lot of bugs. I talk about science. I got a channel. So yeah, go check it out if those things sound appealing to you. I'm a skeptic. I argue with people who make erroneous claims, and I like to debunk BS. But yeah, I'm actually really nice though. Not
He's
Not too mean about it.
Stupid nice. It is obnoxious how sweet he is. How sweet he has a son that's my son's age, and oh my god, what was the Fallout Boy picture of the two two kids, and one of them is wearing like monk's robes and they're walking down the street, and the other one is smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, okay, these are our kids. Which one do you think Angel is? It's so fucked up.
Just
Ian got played on the radio the other day. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kathy. I didn't mean to step on you.
No, I noticed how close you and Badger are. Don't show him the Mike Mantis. Not a good idea.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, where have I?
Nice icon, Jeff.
You're welcome. I mean, thank you.
What's the best way to get rid of a body, Jeff?
Oh my gosh, Keela, did you see my new babies?
Feed them to pigs.
Keela, did you see my new babies?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
There's two of them.
No, not yet.
With Manna's permission, I'll get them out. But
Sorry, Leia is barking because she's
bright.
pain in the ass. But while you're doing that, we'll say hi to Robbie.
Hi.
Oh, MathPig.
Yay!
Everybody knows who I am.
Who'd have guessed?
I've nothing to add relative to comparable or even comparable to anything you have put forward. I'm a guy, I talk, people come over.
More than that, come on.
I've just put this into full screen because I cannot wait to see what he has. I'm sorry.
MathPig, you are the next big debate channel, though, right?
If anybody ever wants to come to me for debates, like.
What's this?
Oh, fuck my face.
How clear is it?
Okay. Even Dave said critical, or Dave said kick him before he does something evil. I wish I had read that before I looked.
But he's nice about it, though.
Oh my
So
god!
I love Dave.
It's a baby.
So
It's
pretty.
a baby. It's so cute. It's got
That's a
fuzzy little.
fucking baby.
It's got a fuzzy little butt.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Have you guys heard? Was it a millipede that you had lost in your house for like 3 days, and it was just like behind a door somewhere?
It was a
Giant beetle of some sort.
I had a stag beetle that got out. Yeah, it was actually in this same container because these lids
Ooh.
for the.
So imagine this though. For like days, his family is aware that this huge fucking beast is somewhere in the house.
We have tarantulas loose in the house too, but they're pretty docile. They get out from time to time. This was the same container, this one that this was in, that beetle got out of, and it just wasn't set up for a beetle because beetles are so like stupid strong, crazy strong. Hey, Bernie.
God damn it.
If anyone can do a Bernie Sanders voice, could you say we would be honored if you would join us in it, please?
Wait, you mean like a cross between Darth Vader and Bernie Sanders?
just in a Bernie Sanders voice, but the line that Vader says in this scene that I've got here.
Yeah, I ain't got that. Sorry.
I'm thinking of the delivery, but my Bernie Sanders impression is not very good. It basically just sounds like a really bad Larry David impression.
It's close enough.
That might not be too far off though.
What? Oh, Brian.
This
I
was a
love
flame
you.
leg.
The only
So
thing,
cute.
the
And my
only thing that,
tarantulas are atheists, by the way, so they can celebrate Atheist Day.
well, of course, they're godless. They're
Absolutely.
spiders.
Yeah.
So
Well,
pretty.
I presented them the proposition first, though, because they have to be aware of the proposition before they can decide whether or not they're atheists. So I had to say, "Hey, there's this idea about a god. Do you guys believe in him?" And they didn't say anything at all. So
Which
Okay.
which ones would be
So
more
that's
inclined
why we're
towards
here, right?
religion, the urticating or the non-urticating tarantulas?
I would say the non-urticating. But I think the mantises are the ones who are really theological.
One could say they're built for prayer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Plus,
Y'all
they
want a
I love
mantis?
it,
Who wants a
Badger.
mantis? I can get a mantis out. And then I'll stop showboating and hogging the stream, and you guys.
No,
can
don't.
stuff.
I'm sorry. I love the bugs. I do.
like
I love the bugs. Mike Mantis.
So anyway, because it's Atheist Day or whatever, which I didn't realize till this morning when Angel came in and asked for a shirt to wear. So, I mean, I was aware it was sometime around this time. I just didn't remember, whatever. Anyway, that is why this was last minute. So fuck you, Badger.
I posted it at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Fuck
your
you
time
too.
this morning. You knew from 3 o'clock this morning.
How can you
I
be angry
didn't
at Badger?
see it.
Look at him. Look at him there with his little loaf of something.
That's Battenberg.
That's Battenberg.
I'm sorry. I'm just
That's the
fixated on
Battenberg
the Mike
cake.
Mantis. I'm waiting for him to move, and I know he won't. I'm
No,
very
he
happy
does.
right now.
I've seen him jump up onto Brian before and stuff.
I'm just
He
happy
does-
to see him.
I pulled down the wrong one. This is actually Sleepy. That's what I named him. It's on his lid. I don't know if you can read that or not, but that's his name because he does this every time I get him out. He decides he's going to lean over. If their heads are down, they're trying to sleep. If their heads are down and they're curled up, they're trying to sleep. And I guess I should have.
Love the shades there, Badger.
Oh, thank you.
Cool shades.
It's my deal with it. Look,
We're going to get hot.
I was going to check my
Okay,
MySpace.
Fuck you, Badger. Anyway.
Thank you for
so I
showing
thought
us.
since you're
Here, this one will be more.
here for
What have I got on MySpace today?
what do you,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
MySpace.
can I
is
finish
not
now? Any of you gonna let me finish now? Okay.
now available
So-
on MySpace.
Fuck you, Badger.
Usually it's Jeff that's cutting her off.
By the way, did you all see who's in the chat? Just saying. I don't want to argue this today with him. Thank you. It's our day. Fuck off. Anyway, so since it's Atheist Day, you figured any of you that, well, when you decided you were an atheist, you could tell us the story if you wanted to. You just realized that you didn't believe in God.
Let me get my
Brian, what about you?
background.
Mine was the first time I fed a body to pigs. No, kidding. Terrible movie reference.
That's not a terrible movie.
No, I said it was a terrible movie reference. That's kind of a
The reference was terrible, not the movie. The movie's actually kind of good, but yeah.
the movie's good.
Where did I put my?
Oh,
Okay, other than feeding corpses to pigs. how did it-
That wasn't me volunteering to go first. Anyone else can go first.
no, you already started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I deconverted around 30 just because I decided to kind of get into reading on different religious topics, and I kind of read both sides for a little bit. And it was around about the time when Christopher Hitchens was kind of popular, and so was Sam Harris and guys like that. And so it was kind of just in the mainstream a little bit. And I decided to start reading their books for myself, and some of them were influential, some of them were convincing. Other arguments they made weren't so much. But the longer I got into it and kind of looked into it, probably over the course of like 6 months, I just kind of read anything I could get my hands on. And then at one point, I just kind of came to the conclusion that I wasn't a believer anymore. And that was it. And it was kind of relieving.
And the host runs away.
Thank you, Jefferson. I appreciate that. Well, your brother, twin brother Jay, did you get into being secular before him or after him?
Yeah, I think at around about the stage I started reading into it, we might have been kind of close to being on the same page, basically deist, not super literal Christians, even though we kind of come from a more fundamentalist background. But even our parents coming up in the churches and stuff, our parents had some different takes on some things. But yeah, I think I kind of I came to the realization that I didn't believe in it at all. And I think my younger sister and I started having conversations about it. And I think she was kind of on the same track as me. I don't know if she even has a deconversion experience per se, but then I would get into discussions with my brother about it, and he would usually kind of fall back into, and he can clarify this on his own if he's ever asked. But from what I understand, he just would kind of fall back to kind of a deist position, a sort of argument from well, where did all this stuff kind of come from, if not a higher power kind of thing? And then he started getting interested in it on his own, and then he started getting into YouTube videos, started watching different things, and he was actually telling me about stuff that was happening on YouTube, because I didn't get into that initially. I was doing it with just reading, and so I think he got exposed to some of like the ontological arguments and presuppositionalists and stuff before I even kind of knew what those were. But then eventually I don't know if he eventually deconverted, but I don't know if he had like an exact moment when actually, he realized it. I do remember the day it happened. I remember the exact moment when I realized, and it wasn't like it had been in disbelief, if that's a thing, but it was like a moment when I realized like I just didn't hold to that being true, and I didn't even hold to it being conditionally true, just because I was afraid that, if I admitted it was bullshit, I was going to get struck by lightning or something. So yeah, it was nice. Once that happened, it was kind of like,
I seem to
you
hear
walk out
that
of
an awful lot.
Yeah, for me, it was like the closest thing I can compare it to, and this is quite crass, but it's like you're in a formal occasion, eating food and trying to talk to people, but you can't pass gas, and you finally get to go off on your own outside somewhere. It's that first, just really relieving passing of gas. I was like, that's better. Just gonna let the belt loose a little. Yep, been like that ever since. And now it's just been hard partying, hard living, and nihilism ever since. Kidding.
I eat a lot of baked beans.
Thanks, Badger. How about you, then? Badger?
Is he asleep?
I think the Badger locked up.
Oh, hey,
Badger has gone into hibernation.
what do you all think of all this new Disney canon that they're coming out with? The Winter Soldier and or Falcon and Winter Soldier and
Okay, first of all, like the fucking first of all, Captain America is the most boring fucking superhero in the world.
Ooh,
so
did you see the first episode?
No, I fucking refuse. God damn it.
Okay.
I tried to watch go through, because I watched WandaVision and I liked it, and I got sucked into WandaVision because I didn't realize it was about any of the MCU characters. I didn't know that till like the third fucking episode, and I was already invested in it. So I was like, yeah, I'll go back and I'll just like watch through all the fucking MCU movies. I got like 3 in, and I was gonna put a fucking bullet in my head. So we've been skipping like the important ones. Angel and I will watch, and Angel will sit there and fast forward through the boring parts. And sometimes it gets a little confusing.
That is not how one watches a movie. That's
So
just...
did he fast forward through Captain America entirely?
The first Captain America is boring as hell.
Just watching it really at 15 times speed.
Yeah, I had watched that one alone. I hadn't started watching them with him until after. We watched, I think the Winter Soldier one might have been the first one that we did that with. Because I fucking hate Captain America. He is the worst, boring Chad in the world. And oh my God, sorry, Chad. In the chat, I love you.
Well, he's not in the show, so
In theory, Captain America should be one of my favorites because he's because he's like the least ridiculously overpowered of them.
Yeah, he's not like Thor or Captain Marvel.
But
when it comes to movie, he has more and more stupid superpowers. Like, he's still a human being. He shouldn't be able to fall 30 stories onto his face and just get up and The way that the MCU disregards the laws of physics makes me
the superhero show disregards the laws of physics.
Yes, which is what everybody fucking says to me. Fucking Angel says it to me. John says it to me. Okay, I get it, but still, it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, I agree with you there. This is why I like. It's why I like the first X-Men film. Apart from the bit where Wolverine goes around the pointy bit on the
around the Statue of Liberty. That's so ridiculous.
The pointy bit on the statue. That bit, I'm just there like, what the fuck is going on?
We lost Jeff. Okay.
So he'll be back.
And in greater numbers.
Why did you ask that question, Badger?
What was the question I asked? I don't remember.
Never mind.
I
That's
think I was
fine.
talking about baked beans, wasn't I?
No,
Yes.
not then. We'll go to Brian. Brian, you tell us about your coming out of believing in shit.
Well, I was actually raised in a secular household.
Yeah, fuck you. That's right.
So-
I forgot. I know this story.
My parents were pretty cool. My mom liked a little bit of woo, like ghosts and stuff. So I did get into that a little bit. But I never had a religion. I grew up in a really small town with like less than 3,000 people. And it took a ridiculously long amount of time for me to realize why me and just a couple other kids in school were like outsiders. And it was because all these other people went to church together and had gone to church together since they were babies. So we just were different, and I was in like maybe 6th grade before I kind of started putting the pieces of that together, because you were kind of whether you knew these other kids or not, you were kind of forced together with them, with the non-religious people, and there was very few of us, like 3 or 4 per grade, because again it was a very small town. And I mean, we never like discussed it and be like, you know what, this is all because our families don't go to church. But that's really what it was, looking back on it now. So I lived in that town for way too long too. I don't live there anymore, but I grew up in rural Missouri, so it was very, very conservative. And when I was a teenager, I started getting into I started playing around with like witchcraft and stuff, because mostly because of the girl I was dating. She was witchy, so I had I played around with that. I never really bought into it, I don't think. The first I got is, I'm like, okay, so these are the ideas like spirits and stuff, are thought forms to help set your mind right to navigate the world. They're not actual spiritual entities. So I kind of put myself there. But I don't think I really bought into it. I think what I was really after was dead ass. So
I was going to say, the shit that men will do to get laid.
yeah, well, I'll stand in a circle at night and chant to the sky. I don't care. Sounds like a good time to me.
I would do that just because it sounds fun.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
The getting laid part is not quite so much my thing, because usually most people want eye contact. And I'm not good at that. But the circle chanting, that sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, there was lots of circle chanting, lots of naked circle chanting. It was a good time.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Not all people circle chanting that you want to see naked, but I mean,
well, isn't that always the way? Like nudist colonies and shit, or like topless beaches. It's always the people that are normally take off their clothes, or yeah.
Get to the nude beach, you're like, Pornhub lied to me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, hi, Grandma.
Oh God. Hi, Jeff. We lost Jeff.
I lost my internet connection for a couple minutes there, and it refused to come back on, but it just magically restarted itself. So,
can we have a
Julie, but you left Kentucky and went to Tennessee. Is that well? But you went to a more urban area, so yeah, I get it. I get what you mean. Yeah, it's great to get out, get away from that culture. That's why I'm so happy to pull my kids away from that, because that was the path that they were going down, and they were also associated with me, which, like I said, I got into the witchcraft thing, and when I was a teenager in that little town, so I'm forever a witch there. I'm forever a devil worshiper. But I kind of like embraced it when I was a kid. I was dressed all gothy and stuff, but yeah, I've worn a lot of guy liner.
Oh, you know what I learned the other day? That Sammy Davis Jr., you know how he was Jewish? He was actually converted to Satanism near the end of his life.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Fucking ritual sacrifices and everything. Like, fully embraced that shit. Had like big parties and yeah. I had no idea.
That is nuts. I bet he has some naked circle chanting.
Absolutely.
Badger, you need to come over here and we'll make that happen, though. Have some fun. Throw your arms up.
Although,
yes.
We might have to wait a little while.
What is that? COVID.
Well, there is that. But I was gonna I was gonna forget what I was talking about. Anyway, hello. Can we have a mantis close up?
Yay, mantis! I love that mantis. I really do.
You're making a really good first impression with Crafty and Jeff Badger.
Yes. I like to start off being.
It's like it's dancing.
I like to start off with new people being like the clumsiest motherfucker you can be. So
You do that totally on purpose.
Yeah, so they don't get like overblown expectations of me, and then when I do something like that's useful, they're like, oh.
Dancing mantis.
Crafty's not even listening, so
I'm hypnotized by the mantis.
I was going to ask you to go next,
If
Crafty.
it starts off with all my best stuff, then I run out, and everybody's like, oh,
Your best stuff is screaming about Disney and talking about your hole and Battenberg.
That's a bit
So
of a one-trick badger, wouldn't he?
three tricks.
I sing badly as well.
Me too. We're gonna our chanting's gonna sound awful.
Oh.
See? Jumper. Crafty. Your turn.
I haven't really gone into much. I did a little bit on MathPig stream. My story is a little bit complicated because I have a really complicated history, which saw me suicidal at the age of 8 years old. And so so I was raised Catholic, but I never really got into Catholicism until, I actually lost my fear of death through that experience. And it's a weird thing because I was looking for something to live for. And it's contradictory now because for me now, atheists have everything to live for and theists have everything to die for. But at the time, I was looking for something, just something to believe in. And in the ward that I was in, there was a nun, and she was very good at telling stories. I think that's why I actually like telling stories, because that really can impact someone's life. And so I kind of got involved in the Catholic Church a lot more. I was going through my communion at the time. And so I actually took it very, very seriously. And to the extent, at the age of 12, we had the children's choir. We had in my neighborhood, there was a youth choir. So we actually had our own mass for young people. Not that there was many young people at it. I think the choir were the only young people, and those who were dragged by their parents, I don't know. But it was a chance for us to kind of shine, do you know what I mean? And again, the nun that was running the choir was very, very friendly and very good at telling stories. And very passionate, and I actually loved her passion, and I loved the sense of community that was there. But as I was growing older, I kind of realized that I was bisexual. And so I went to her and I said, look, I think I might be gay. And I like girls and boys. And she got so mad. She got so angry. And I'd never seen her get angry like that before. And that was a bit of a, hard thing to take. Because she was actually, in a way, looking back on it, and from other people who worked in the church at the time, she was actually training me up, or some might say grooming me, to take over the running of the choir, which was a weird thing to find out years later. And so in and around 12, 13, when I realized my sexuality, I started to question things. And it was then that I actually read the Bible, the Catholic Bible, front to back. I read the King James Bible front to back. I read the Torah. I read a lot of different religious beliefs to see if there was any that would actually fit with where I was at. And none of them seemed to do that. So then 9/11 happened, which was a big year for a lot of people. And all I could think was, if there was really a God, honestly, if there was really a God, that would never have happened, because that level of barbarity towards each other would never have gotten that far. If the God of the Old Testament existed, he would have stepped in. If the God of the New Testament had existed, he would have stepped in, because we're not allowed to hate each other like that. Or we're not allowed to hate each other like that without severe consequences for the entire human race. So that's how embedded I was in Catholicism. And that was the day, literally that was the day that my faith was gone. And I was lost for a long time. I did feel lost for a long time, because once you leave that community, that sense of family, that sense of community that you had is gone. Thankfully, I found it in other groups. And
I can't imagine it was easy in Ireland, though, you know, like.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
There was a group called Belong To, and it was for young bisexual and trans teens, like mainly. And they were fantastic. They were a great support network. I got a great support network around me. And I think that's how I came to the realization that I would rather believe in people. When you put your faith in people, you can always find something to hold on to. You can always find hope. And around that time as well, because like I was very close to my granddad, and it was in and around 2005 that Doctor Who came back. And in advance of that coming back, we rewatched some of the very old episodes that he had on VHS, because he was a huge Doctor Who fan. And so between my granddad and the group that I was now a part of, like, yeah, I came out swinging. I left school at 15. I started working when I was 13. And I just went into work, and I haven't stopped since. And then at about 23, I decided, you know what? I deserve a lot better than what I'm getting. The dead end jobs, I'm not getting anywhere. I can give so much more. And so I went back to university and ended up with a master's in sociology, because human beings fascinate me. The why is important. The why is what fascinates. So, yeah.
Very cool. Thank you, Crafty. I appreciate you sharing. Like I said, it must have been hard, you know, finding community. I get that, because it was kind of the same when I came to the South. It's not easy to. I mean, obviously, we're not all Catholic around, but there's everybody here is Christian of some sort. It's rough.
Can I just say something really quick before we move on to the next person, just about what Crafty said? That is just terrible that you had these feelings, these questions about your sexuality that you'd been dealing with for however long. You finally went to a person, an adult, an authority figure. It sounds like almost like a parental figure to express these feelings and this turmoil that you're having. And their response was to get angry with you and kind of just turn their back on you. And
yeah. Well, what's great is, although she did that, and it kind of broke my I don't know, my loyalty was shattered that day. But thankfully, I have a great family, and they were my support network. My mom fully accepted my sexuality, and she was the one who linked me up with Belong To. And I wouldn't be the same person I am today if not for Belong To.
Well, yeah, I'm happy that you're in a better place now, but it's unfortunate that you make that decision to come out to somebody like that and tell them that, and that's how they react to you. That's what so many people are afraid of.
Yeah,
exactly that happened. Terrible.
It's that rejection, and it did make it very hard to trust people.
My mother just didn't believe me. She was like, "You don't sleep with women." Like, okay, Mom, thanks.
You know what my mom said? She said, "I know."
Oh, see, that's what a parent should be.
Yeah.
They should either already pretty much know. It's just, yeah. Also, she won't have anything to do with like looking at my channel or anything because it has the name Atheist. In fact, the shirt that I'm wearing today, she made when she broke her hip. Her friend.
What did that say? What did the shirt say?
This is what an atheist looks like.
Nice.
Her friend from work was coming, or not work, from church. She's Catholic. Was coming to visit her, and I was the one taking care of her, so I would have been down there. And she made me change this shirt because her Catholic friend was coming over. She was so fucking fully embarrassed about it. So,
well,
yeah.
I mean, my mom was one of these. Actually, when I told her, her direct response was, "As long as you're safe and as long as you're happy, then that's fine." That was her response. I was expecting a lot worse because, you know yourself, well, because of how Sister Carmel reacted.
Yeah. It's not. I think. See, I only told my mother about my sexuality like 3 years ago. I think if I had told her 20 years ago when I realized it, she would have reacted in a different way. I think she has kind of chilled out a little bit about that stuff since, in the years past, but not the atheism stuff, but the sexuality stuff she has.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but
my nan never accepted it. Although the one time my nan actually really did get her knickers in a twist when it came to it. She did accept my sexuality and she did accept me being an atheist eventually. And the way she showed me was just before she died, and she had Alzheimer's before she died, but just before she died, it was the run up to the marriage equality referendum. And her priest, who came around to the house to give my nanny and granddad communion every week, said, it's your duty to vote no against this and blah de blah de blah, and she fucked him out of her house and told him not to come back.
That's awesome. Yeah, so, I wasn't allowed to tell my grandmother. She died a while ago, 2006, I think, or 5. But I wasn't allowed to tell her I was atheist. I'm not. I have an uncle who's a Monsignor. Not allowed to tell him either. So, yeah, that's why. If he found out, and he wouldn't let me communicate myself. He's too high up in the church. He wouldn't let it happen. So I haven't tried. So, but anyway, thank you, Crafty, for sharing. Robbie, sweetheart, you want to go next?
I don't really have a specific moment. If anyone has watched the channel, they know I have that story where I say about in the Salvation Army going to the mercy seat, but after that it became more of an anti-theism stage, so it was just more of a progressional thing over time. Like, didn't even know the word atheist existed until after I became one. Like.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like I mean, I get it from where you live and stuff, but I don't think I knew, like, when I was 15 when I realized it. I don't think the word came into my head. I don't think I like labeled myself as that for a long time until I went to college and I had that fucking. Okay, I've told this story before, so sorry if you've heard it. But so I go to college, 3,000 miles away from home. I went to the University of Arizona in Tucson, which was, and I grew up in Connecticut, which is on the other side of the country. But anyway, so I know fucking nobody. And you all know that going to college is like, as a freshman, especially if you're living there, is fucking terrifying. Like, am I right? It's terrifying. So, I mean, it's the first time you're on your own and you know literally nobody. Like, I met my roommates and some people on the floor and stuff. But so I'm sitting outside. We had, in front of our dorm was a sand volleyball court. And so we used to go, my friend Chris and I used to go sit out there and smoke and watch them play volleyball. So I'm sitting out there alone, and this woman comes up to me. She's probably like 21, 22, something like that. And she just starts talking to me and, just being really friendly, asking about how I like the university, what my major is, because, everybody fucking asks you what your major is in college, is the thing. But she spent a good like 45 minutes just sitting there talking to me. It was very sweet. It was like, oh, I'd like to buy you a coffee sometime. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I gave her my number, didn't think about it. And so like a week or so later, she calls me and asks me and she's like, oh, can I buy you that coffee? I'm like, fuck yeah, I love coffee. Sure. So she starts proselytizing to me, asking me about my beliefs, like almost right out the bat, like, have you picked out a church yet? That kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't want to be rude and just be like, I don't believe. But so I kind of just went along with, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not really interested in that. Leave, go back to my dorm. She calls me the next week and I make an excuse. She does this once a week. I swear to fuck. For the rest of the semester, she calls my fucking dorm room to ask me out for coffee every single goddamn week. And I know what she's doing. She's trying to push her fucking student, because I'm sure she's in some kind of, Bible study group or whatever. But that shit, it was terrible. Pissed me off. Anyway.
Bit cultish.
Yes, it was super cultish. And she just kept going. It got to the point where I wouldn't even answer my own phone anymore. I had 2 roommates. I would make them, whenever the phone would ring, I would make one of them answer it, because I was like, she's going to call. I just don't, I don't even want her to know I'm here. I'm sick of making fucking excuses. It was so fucking bad. She would not stop. So that was my, first semester in college. It went out like that.
I had a story. Well, I ran into a few Campus Crusaders for Christ. First year that I was at university, when I was living in the dorms, and the one guy was asking me questions. I don't know what made him kind of curious about it, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, did you go to church? And I was like, yeah, I was raised in several churches. And he's like, oh, so you're a brother in Christ? I didn't even know it. And my reaction was physical. I was like, ew. That was probably that was 10 years before I really totally deconverted. So it was that was probably a sign of things to come.
Nice.
I think about it, and the gall of her, though, because the dorm I was living in was one of 2 honors dorms, and most of us were engineering or physics or whatever, and most of us, we were secular, so it was really weird for her to come and pick my dorm specifically. She had to have known, but yeah,
that might be why she might have been trying to preach to the heathens or some.
Yeah, it's very well possible. In fact, I don't think I knew no, my fucking roommate, her name was Farah, and she decided to be a costume design major. It's you're going to university in an honors program, and you pick costume design. She says it's because she worked so hard in high school, it was time to take a break. I'm like, this is what you're doing for the rest of your life. Anyway, Farah, she was Mormon. And we were totally cool, the first semester. And then I don't know what happened, but our other roommate left because she fucking hated me. And so we got a new roommate, and I think I was just, I got along better with her. And plus we had bunk beds, and Farah had her own single bed on the other side of the room. There were closets in between. So she got really mad at me, and she hated me the rest of the year. It was fucking drama with chicks. Seriously, that shit must happen all the time in dorms. It was awful. But the next year I roomed with my best friend, so it was fine. Anyway, I'm rambling about stupid college shit. Who was next? Oh, Robbie, were you still talking?
No, I finished.
Well, I found my my deconversion face.
Oh yeah, what is that?
I did this ages ago when I went on Neil's channel. There we go.
Midnight deconversion. That's very sexy, Badger.
It's not quite midnight, so yeah, because we were trying to arrange a good time for it, and it ended up being midnight. So
It's midnight somewhere.
My time. It was midnight my time, so I just went, fuck it. Bad tempered badgers, midnight deconversion.
The only time zone that counts is Eastern Standard. So, just saying.
GMT's the best.
No. So I don't know, if I should share mine, because it's my channel and everybody's probably heard it 10 times. So what else do we want to talk about?
I can say some shit if you want about deconversions.
Go ahead.
So
I'll be back.
I talk about stuff sometimes. Yeah, I grew up in a little village. It was Church of England. There was a Church of England church. There was a Church of England school. There was a Church of England people just everywhere. It was a bit culty. It was I'd say as culty as you get in England without being like a cult. So I once walked behind the there was a vicarage where the vicar lived. I once walked behind the back wall of the garden of the vicarage, and I could hear somebody practicing speaking in tongues in there. So, oh, that's what's going on here. So yeah, I was taught in the school all the Bible stuff, and my Bible, I have a fancy Bible with illustrations and hand drawn pictures in that I got from the Sunday school that I went to, and I really like this Bible. It's nice. I don't believe it, but it's a nice book. I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, so I discovered that the sciencey things I was being taught didn't really match up with the religion-y things I was being taught in certain areas, and some of the religion-y things were very contradictory, sort of internally. Like, there's a plan for everyone, but if you go against God's will, you'll go to hell. I was there going, well, that doesn't quite line up. Because if everything's predetermined, then where's the thing? Where's this going to hell business about?
If you had been properly exposed to the right kind of Christianity, Reformed theological Christianity, Calvinists, they would have been like, yeah, of course some of you are going to hell. You were built for it. God designed some of you people to burn in hell forever.
Great, thanks God.
Exactly.
Excellent kindling.
Well, so somebody's got to, there's got to be some fuel, otherwise the whole thing would go out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I gradually kind of drifted away from it, and it was when I look back on it afterwards, when I was living not there, and I look back and I was thinking, yeah, if you weren't involved with the church, you weren't involved with anything. The whole village revolved around the church thing, and all the people who were prominent figures in the village were church people. And the few people who were kind of disadvantaged in the village were not well received by the church people, because they had an untidy garden and that kind of thing.
Yeah, wow.
So when I look back on it later, I got a bit angry about all that, because I thought, well, and I saw how it had given me sort of long-term problems that I'm still trying to deal with. Like, there's this always thought in my head, oh, it's okay. There's some overall power that'll sort everything out. So I just kind of relied on that in a sense, and didn't do things for myself, because I thought, oh, everything will just fall into place. And then I realized that I'd been doing that for a while and missed a load of stuff that I could have really done with doing, because I've been relying on just things happening. Yeah. So I got a bit angry about it and became a bit of an anti-theist for a while. And then I after doing that, I met a load of religious people who I thought, actually, these people are fine. They just believe something I don't. And then I mellowed a bit, and now I'm just kind of, I don't believe it, an atheist. And as long as you're not causing me or other people problems, you're fine.
You don't care?
Yeah, so that's how that happened. I occasionally dabble in atheo-pagan business because I like wearing funny hats.
Of course you do. Thank you, Badger. I'm sorry if I didn't ask you. I thought I did. So.
I did, and then it wandered off again, so that's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
We've been wandering off a bit this whole time, but yeah.
I've still been distracted. I've still been distracted by the dancing mantis. I need to get me some mantises. Actually, weirdly enough, sorry to get off topic, but I catered for a wedding for friends of a friend down where I used to live, and they actually owned a reptile shop in Dublin. So I might have to, once the lockdown is over, I might actually have to look at getting something.
They're really cool. They don't live very long though, so
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So The main thing I would say is if you're going to get mantises, get at least 3, preferably 5, because they have a high mortality rate till they get to their about their 3rd or 4th instar, which is how many times they've molted. So yeah, and that goes for everybody out there.
We will talk about this. We will definitely talk about this later. Sorry.
Educating on I have critical questions rules here.
No, you don't. I've been here before.
For celebrations, I am way too stoned to learn anything right now. So just like for real.
I'm sorry. You know, it's a compulsion.
I understand that. I have,
quick, somebody say global warming. So she focuses on.
Don't even say the words. Just don't. No, I do. I will rant. Seriously, I'll hear a little nugget of something and I'll fucking go off, and then it'll be like 10 minutes later. I'm like, yeah, okay, that was a lot. I'm sorry.
Everyone else is looking back at you with their cameras on, hair blown back, eyebrows gone, eyes bloodshot. Like, this is too much. It's like trying to get a sip of water out of a fire hose. What did you do?
It's so bad. It's so bad. I appreciate all of my friends that put up with that shit. I love you all so much. Especially Robbie, because I don't know, I have a tendency to. He has a tendency to do less than environmental things. So I don't know. Robbie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. She didn't want to talk smack behind your back. She wanted to talk into your face.
No, I absolutely wanted to do it, but I know I'm kidding.
Dave asks a relevant and timely question. Isn't global warming a conspiracy, and aren't all the climate scientists funded by Soros? Yes to both, Dave. Discuss. Let's discuss.
Yeah, we need to cancel Momma Atheist. She's telling this stuff to children.
Can I be? Can I be funded? I'll go all climate on the social media if you like.
Yeah, I'm super funded.
Give me that big climate money.
So bad. We fucking beg for every penny that we get. It is so ridiculous. So
just get it from Big Climate.
Yes.
I just want to say, Dave, asking questions like that. If you visited this part of America, you would fit right in. Just keep asking questions like that. People would be like, "You're coming over to my house for a casserole."
Like the stupid fucking questions that Tucker Carlson asks, people who are asking about the vaccine have a right to ask, is this safe? What's in it? Fuckers, you have an internet, just educate yourselves a little bit. Oh my God, it is so obnoxious.
The problem is that for some of these people, the first thing they find is a weird animated gift of a vaccine. It's the hypodermic with bat wings flapping in a really bad GIF, and then they're like, oh, it's obviously evil. The internet said so. Look at that thing. There's
the problem with it is mostly it's not about the vaccine itself, but the microchips that are in it. Is the real problem.
Yeah. I was chatting with Doc Savage, who's he's a microbiologist, works on vaccines last weekend, and he was asking, he's like, "Hey, have you gotten your vaccine yet?" I'm like, "No, I'm scheduled this Saturday." I'm like, "My folks have gotten their first dose. They're scheduled for their seconds." He's like, "Good." He's like, "So have they have they encountered any problems or anything? Any side effects?" And I was like, "Yeah, when my dad blinks, he turns the TV on and off. Other than that, it's great."
Well, they say microbiologist, microchip, wake up, sheeple.
It's right there.
These people fucking out on the streets arguing about 5G and shit. I came across this meme today that was a bunch of patches from different government agencies throughout the years that were all proof that the Earth was flat, proof of flat Earth, and one of the patches was an Apollo 11 patch. Just fucks, it was so annoying. The amount of stupidity out there. Honestly, I understand free speech is a good thing, being able to share information freely. We connect the world that way. But there's that hard, debate that you have this other dark side where this kind of, conspiracy theory shit grows so much more than it would without this kind of platform. And a lot of these theories are really dangerous. And the fucking election theory was so dangerous. It ended up, causing an insurrection. So how do we balance this out? How do we, first of all, we need to make places like, or channels like Fox and all the super right wings, OANN and stuff, accountable for spreading this sort of information. I think that's a good place to start. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's reached peak crazy when that crazy lawyer, the one that even the members of the Trump's defense kind of distanced themselves from, because she was making the claims about it was a Diebold or whatever the company that ran the voting machines, and was trying to say it was some kind of communist plot out of China and Venezuela. Sidney Powell or Sidney, whatever her last name is.
Yeah, Sidney Powell.
Her defense in her upcoming lawsuits is that no reasonable person should have taken any of her claims seriously. She's essentially making a Fox News defense. Like,
yeah,
no,
that's their new go-to. Yeah, Alex Jones did the same thing when he was going to lose his kids. It's all an act. It's all an act. Nobody actually believes this stuff.
Fucking bullshit. And
the fucked up thing is that I can't remember who had done it, but somebody had tracked back, like, there was a rash of stories. It was a really bad. It wasn't a bombing. I think it was an abortion clinic shooting, and I think it was in Colorado. And this guy was not mentally well, and he was, extremely, pro-life and everything. And he shot up a clinic, I think. And somebody actually did this thing where, like, if you look back, that nobody really asked this guy, but you found out, like, where he lived. I think he had a caretaker or whatever. Not real great, but he spent a lot of time watching this, and there was a rash of right-wing anti-abortion stories going through, and he just sort of like mainlined that stuff, and then he just took it to its ultimate conclusion, and like, suddenly it was like, well, no rational person would take this seriously. Well, that's great. What do you do about the loonies that you guys are feeding craziness to?
The problem is,
I'm wondering. Sorry, Robbie, go ahead.
The problem I see with this at the minute is the fact that the internet is so young. The people who are around at the minute, people around my age and stuff like that, we have a wee bit of sense in that because we did have a period before with the internet. But there's so many people in the world today that were born and grew up with that amount of information. They're also still being taught the old-fashioned sort of way of an education system. Someone from authority speaks to you, this is true. They have this sort of evidence, this is true. We're in the middle of something right now. Another 15, 20 years down the line, I hope that this will have progressed and we can change, but it's just going to be time. People are stupid. And it's not the fault of the people, it's the fault of the way that they've been educated with the amount of information that's out there. They're still being educated as if it's fucking 1980.
That's the problem, and I hate to use this term, but that's the problem with the boomers, because they don't know how to function in this era with the way information is shared now. They don't know how to vet information because they grew up. You got it from newspapers, you got it from the television, the nightly news, and you trusted it, and that was it. You saw it on the TV, you read it in the newspaper, you trusted it. Yeah. That's not the world we live in now, but they can't break out of that mentality. So everything that they hear from these right-wing media outlets is the news. I blame Rush Limbaugh.
You really think somebody would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Yeah, right. Fern H in the chat has a good point to make, that we stop equating mentally ill with mass shootings because there's such a large spectrum of mental illness. By kind of grouping the two together, it ends up, putting everybody else in that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do that. I mean, that kid that
ill people are not violent.
Right. Well, and the other thing too. I mean, I think that people started I don't really like that comparison either. I probably was too glib and said loonies or whatever, but I'm not really diagnosing. I'm just being dismissive. But that kid that shot up the Walmart specifically was targeting, Latino, because he'd been, kind of mainlining a bunch of right wing, nonsense about immigrants invading the United States. He goes down there and shoots up a bunch of people, and they're like, well, I wonder what kind of mental illness he must have had. I'm like, no, he didn't. He just didn't know how to suss bad information out, and he was an asshole.
Yeah. Can I make the point? Can I make the point? Because I've actually I've done papers on this before. A lot of it is the rhetoric of mental illness doesn't actually come from anyone except for the right wing. If you analyze the terrorist attacks that happen from non-Caucasians to the terrorist attacks committed by Caucasians, what you will find is that the non-Caucasians are terrorists and the white Caucasians are mentally ill.
Yeah, I was
Balloons.
thinking
Yeah.
that whenever he
But
said that,
that's-
I wanted to say that,
but-
you know, it's always the black people who are evil and the white people who have
Yeah.
mental illness.
So I was watching, actually, I think it was fucking John Oliver that brought it up in the last couple of weeks when he was looking at Tucker Carlson. And he's a great example, Tucker Carlson, because if you look at the BLM protests, what he said was, you know, these people are evil, these people are rioting, these people are setting our homes on fire and our work, and they don't do anything and all the rest of it. When it came to
Then he called the insurrectionists patriots that were just upset.
not just patriots. What he was saying was actually deeper than that. What he was saying was these people work for what they have. These people are the pride of our country. These people are hardworking Americans who just feel let down by the system. Well, so too do the Black Lives Matter movement. They feel let down by a system who has systematically abused them. And that's the point. But my point is the only people who refer to violent extremists are actually right-wing people who are trying to justify and protect those violent extremists because they are Caucasian, because they are white.
Right up until the moment they try to vote on some kind of gun restriction that would restrict, you know, because they'll get into arguments
You
about
sure
whether or
this is
not
the right time to talk about gun restriction? Because there was just had a shooting. Like
Yeah, we have to shut all that down.
I just wanted to make the point. I just wanted to make the point that it's not ordinary people that are drawing the conclusion that to have a gun or to go and shoot up somewhere, it's not coming from ordinary people. It is coming from the far right people.
The
who
right
try
in
to
this country paints a big amount of the rhetoric. They really do. You know, and I'm wondering
they put the crap out, and usually whatever counts as the left ends up trying to counter it by usually conceding their narrative.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Trump is going to use the Tucker Carlson, Sidney Powell defense, because apparently a lot of the people that got arrested during the insurrection are saying the reason that they were there was because Trump told them to do it. And so, you know, they're putting it on him, and having all of that evidence so much pile up, it points like they will be able to, you know, indict him for inciting the insurrection for possibly sedition. And I'm wondering if he'll use the same kind of defense where he's like, oh, you know, people shouldn't have believed me or whatever. They shouldn't have taken that so seriously, because he didn't even go along. He went and hid in his tent and watched it with a big smile on his fucking face.
I think there's a bit of a difference there between some media pundit saying something and the president saying something as well, because he was at the time the literal president of the country.
That position of power is huge.
Yeah, that's a time when you shouldn't be doing
inciting.
Well, that describes his whole presidency, though. He was always inciting this. Look at them and look at this. Look at what they're doing. They're stealing from you. They're letting you down. They're ripping you off. The do nothing Democrats. He gave everybody derogatory nicknames and freaking rain people down and vilified them.
And when you consider like the way that rhetoric works, if you had BLM protesters protesting things like, you know, people of color being killed by cops, that's their grievance. There's none of that's true. There's nothing to see here. Those people are just using that as an excuse to get violent, and they're throwing a fit, and look at how entitled they are. And these people are insisting that there's just no way my guy didn't win. That's what it came down to for most of them. And Trump fed into that sense of entitlement, and they tried to tear the Capitol up. Well, they did tear it up pretty well. And
I
then
think it's because they went to
5 people
bed
killed.
on the 6th, and it looked like their guy had won. They thought it was over, and they didn't
Yeah.
realize that they got all that we're in a pandemic, and there's all these freaking mail-in ballots to vote.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
third?
I was watching the U.S. election and the aftermath of the U.S.
Oh, that
election.
was terrifying.
But I'm not going to get into that. But I've been watching a lot of the discussion around Biden and how in right wing circles he is he what was it? Fox News was saying that he organized a coup against a legitimate president, because Biden can't be a legitimate president even though he got more votes. But I've been watching this in the backdrop, especially in around February. I've been watching this in the backdrop of an actual coup d'etat in Myanmar and people's actual freedom, internet being shut down completely in various places around Myanmar, Burma, for those of you that don't know it as Myanmar. People losing their lives, people being shot in the streets for just saying, where's my internet gone? Where's my president that I elected? Where are the people that I elected? This isn't good. Where they actually, and it came out there the other day that 9 people were shot dead in one day. And one of them was coming home from work. I mean, this is the level at which we've gotten to in Myanmar, and these little Karens running around saying, "Oh, isn't it terrible? We had an unfair election because people decided not to go out and vote in person during the worst fucking pandemic in 100 years."
Like it was so simple to explain it away. Like him coming in and like, oh, it has to be rigged because we were up by so much until the fact that most of the liberals were the ones who voted by mail and stuff because they're not fucking idiots and didn't fall into this whole like COVID is a hoax and anti-max bullshit trap that the right pushed. And I still, for the life of me, can't fucking figure out why they did that. Like for real. What did that fucking accomplish other than giving us another, bipartisan thing to tear each other to pieces about?
Yeah,
if they had over 500,000 people.
If they hadn't turned voting by mail into a left-right identity issue, Trump would have won. So I'm kind of glad they did.
Well, right. So I have a guy coming on my show next weekend. His name is Mr. Clapperjack. That's what he uses on YouTube. He lives in Belarus, and around mid last year they had an election which was completely fraud, and Lukashenko actually came out and said, yeah, it was fraud, deal with it. He actually admit that it was fraud. Nothing has been done by the international community whatsoever, right? He was arrested for filming a protest. Not for being part of the protest. He was arrested and jailed for 30 days for filming the protest. And yet again, when you talk about rights being taken away and feeling like your identity doesn't matter, imagine having to stand for 14 hours a day because you were filming a protest. That's having your rights taken away. These guys don't know what it is to have rights being stripped away.
We are Americans. We are just spoiled, cushy little brats, even the ones that on the left. It's admittable. Jeff, Brian, you agree with me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
living here, so it's right in my backyard. Like I said, I moved away from the town I grew up in, but I didn't move that far, so I'm still kind of in the thick of it. It's still a very, very red area, even though I'm in Illinois now. So
the worst thing about my town is that there's no Starbucks. Like,
I just want to say I've got some great healthcare.
Oh, fuck off, Azure.
Not that fucking great, man. To fuck my hand up.
I have a pretty okay health system. I have a medical card. I have I'm pretty well looked after, I have to say. The HSE is shit, but I'm pretty well looked after compared to you guys.
Yeah, we have a layer cake of bureaucratic nonsense and bullshit, which, yeah, it's the
Oh
envy
my
of the
god,
world.
it's so awful.
About
took
over
me-
200 years worth of bullshit all stacked on top of each other.
Yeah,
Doesn't
more or
make
less.
sense anymore.
It took me 6 years to get my first stimulator implant. I have a spinal cord stimulator for people who don't know, for pain issues. 6 fucking years for me to get it because of insurance issues. And then 2 years later, it died and the company went under, so they couldn't replace the parts. So I had to get another one. And then it took nearly 2 years after that with this fucking dead thing in my back. It was
Yeah,
It
the
is
wonderful
so
thing is that you have 2 in your back because they're wonderful enough to forget to take the
Yeah,
fucking
that's another
battery
thing.
out from the first
my
one.
insurance company didn't want to pay to have the original stimulator removed, and they have this huge fucking battery. It's like this big, right next to my spine. So they also decided, so that's still there, and they decided to put the 2 batteries for the new one right next to that one on that side. So I just have batteries on my lower back on one side, and it's very uncomfortable because I didn't think they were gonna leave the other one in when they asked me what side I wanted the batteries put on. I was like, the right. That's what I'm used to.
I'm going to
But
go
they
out on
didn't.
a limb and say that I don't think America will make a good cyborg in the future. I don't think we've got what it takes.
They did
That's
have
why
right there.
Terminator 2 is Arnold Schwarzenegger and not somebody from America, because it had to be the Austrians or the Germans.
The Germans engineered him. Yeah, it's like good Swiss engineering.
Can I address something in the chat, which I probably shouldn't, but I think it's
don't give
important
them
to.
time
Oh,
of
no.
day.
No. Well, I think it is important. Someone said, I'm not even going to name the person, but someone said, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
I've said it like 4 times.
Right. No. I do need to address this because this is very true. It is very easy. It is very easy to believe that there is an all-powerful being watching over you and loving you unconditionally. It's very, very easy to give in to the temptation of that fairy tale. It's very hard to face reality and know that you have to do things on your own. You make your own luck. You have to make your own life, and you have to make it good. And the onus, if you fail, is on you. Whereas if you believe in the fairy tale of a god, then, or a deity, or multiple deities, then it's on them. It's their plan. They fucked it up, and eventually you'll get happily ever after when you die. I don't want to wait until I die to get my happily ever after. I'm going to be honest. I want a good life now. So yeah, it is hard to believe in yourself and to keep that faith in yourself, that just getting up every day, just doing the best that you can do as a human being when you're living in the world, as we've said, is quite challenging at times. It is very hard to keep that faith in yourself. But anyone can do it. Anyone can fucking do it. And there is a great support network if you need to do it. If you want us, we're here. So for anyone who is willing to take that step, it's not as scary as you might think.
Very well put, Crafty. Thank you.
I'll co-sign that. That was good. I agree with what you said there.
Yeah, I like that. That's good stuff.
I think we've been going almost an hour and a half, and I think that's a pretty good place to stop. I really appreciate all of you coming, all of you in the chat who came, and my lovely group of friends here. This is just more what I do now, just bring my friends on the channel and talk smack.
You should come on my channel sometime, Amanda.
I should, Badger. I should. I'll shoot you a cocktail.
You should. Look, again, as I said like 2 years ago, I have a semi-open invitation for people to come on for a chat, especially Amanda. But you gotta help me with the scheduling because I'm shit. All right.
You are. Fuck off. I love Badger. He's one of my closest friends in the community. So
my ability with scheduling is terrible at the moment.
Yeah.
My brain just does not do it properly. I'm trying to do like a video about compost at the moment, and that's taking up a lot of my energy.
Wait, compost?
This is not for my channel. This is for a local nature project.
Nice.
Okay. Still, I mean,
How random.
here.
I love it.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, but there's a semi-open invitation to come on my channel. But if somebody wants to discuss a topic with someone who's a mostly reasonable chat, unless it's Disney Star Wars, in that case I will tell you. Yeah, I will tell you about that if it's Disney Star Wars. But yeah, there's a semi-open invitation. All you got to do is email me at badger@cock.li. You can also find me on MySpace.
Cocked in LA or cock little what?
It's badger@cock.li.
How did you have to look that up? That's insane. And Dave, go fuck yourself hard. We do not even say those words. No, who are you?
Where do you know?
Also,
Go on, sorry.
Go ahead, Crafty.
no, you go on. I'm typing.
No, just on behalf of Critical Cripple, I have been invited to join a panel at some stage, reviewing the Star Wars franchise. So that's going to be interesting.
Wait, what? With Dave?
Yeah.
What the fucking fuck, Dave?
Right, with the reason
Like,
he's doing that. If he didn't invite you, then you do not want to be part of it. If he didn't invite you and Badger to a Star Wars stream, then it's going to be making fun of it.
Where's my invite? Oh, it's probably at my cock.
Yeah, I want a goddamn explanation, you fucking asshole.
I was gonna say where's my invite, but it's probably in my cock mail.
Yeah, no.
Right,
well,
thank you, Badger.
Yeah.
Or actually, okay. So is that all you have? You have anything coming up, Badger?
Yes, I have. At some point, I plan to continue the streaming series I was doing, playing a load of old Star Wars games before the dark times happened.
I love that. I do. I really like that a lot.
I was midway through. I was midway through Star Wars Dark Forces, which is the classic Doom style game.
That was a good game.
It's excellent. But then Christmas happened and I ran out of steam. So I shall be coming back to that, and I want to continue with the Jedi Knight series that followed that game because all of them are excellent.
Yes. That
Also,
awesome.
I have another SCP story reading planned as well.
Okay.
You actually have a good voice for that, though.
Yeah. He
I
does.
mean, as far as Badgers go, yes, I agree
Yeah.
with Brian.
I mean, I'm not usually this
Thank you,
articulate.
Badger. We'll move on around next to Brian.
Oh, well, I had my Monday is when I released my my Monsters, Myths and Monsters series. Just had one released yesterday. But and I try to do something. I'm going to try to do something on Wednesday too, if I can get it finished in time. And then Saturday I'll be streaming. So yeah, I don't know what we're talking about this Saturday yet. So be a surprise.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Crafty, sweetheart.
Not this week. Yeah, this week. Well, this weekend, I'm going to be doing Life on the Flip Side, which I do every Sunday with Steam and Cup of Reason. So I think it's on Steam and Cup of Reason's channel this week. And then next week, I'm celebrating 1 year on YouTube. So when I joined YouTube, I was actually convinced to start up a channel. I never intended to. And the stream that I started on was from a guy called Mr. Sensible. And 3 of us on that stream started our channels at the very same time. So on Saturday next week, we're going to have a celebratory thing where we do an hour on each channel with the people who have been influential in our own individual channels. And then we're going to do a stream with Mr. Sensible on the Monday or the Tuesday. The other thing with the Star Wars thing, yes, Critical Cripple has nothing to do with it. Just to be absolutely honest, it's not. It's myself, PhD Tony, who was one of the people who set up the channel on the same day as me, and is a very good friend of mine, and Jessica G. So, who is one of the biggest trolls, one of the best trolls going on YouTube. So
Everybody keeps doing these Star Wars streams like fucking Ethan and without me. Like, what the fuck is that
You
about?
wanted on that Star Wars stream with Ethan. You know I could have got you into that.
I said it to him like 3 fucking times when he put it on Twitter. And other people were like, "Yo, ask Momma Atheist. Yo, ask Momma Atheist." Like,
So
duh.
The last two things,
That's
just
not
real
even
quickly. I
part
have
of
I have a new Challenging Conspiracies episode out this week. I'm looking at chemtrails, and the other thing is Friday week will be Ion Society with Mr. Clapperjack talking about Belarus. So that I'm quite busy. It's fun.
Yes. Thank you, Crafty. Jeff, what about you?
If I accepted all of Gavin Hurleman's challenges to debates, I would be debating every day for the next 2 years. But no, instead, I'm probably going to do a video in the next few days with Otangelo, of all people. Otangelo wishes to... Yeah.
Awesome.
But Tangelo
Like-
wishes he's been hanging out with Darth Dawkins quite a bit in some Discord servers. I got kicked by
Tangelo, if you're still there, man, don't do that now. Come on.
Yeah, come on,
Come
dude.
on now. You're
Like, we
better
are
than
on
that.
you.
You are
What the
better
fuck is
than
wrong with you?
You
He
are
wants to
better
have
than
a
asshole
discussion about-
104.
he wants to have a discussion about what he's learned from Darth Dawkins' rhetoric. So I'm kind of curious. And then he told me he's
well,
like,
that could be interesting. A short
I
stream.
kind of want to see that though. Like,
yeah,
for
exactly.
real.
So when he told me, I was like, okay. And he sent me a blog post of what he's learned, and so I'm kind of reading through that. Which
Oh,
I've got a lot of
please.
notes. But then he's like,
I can summarize.
Nothing.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Badger.
Here's what I've learned, guys, and no.
What's
What?
that?
So I have learned from my time in this Discord server that the guys are knob.
Yeah, guys
Yes.
are knobheads.
That's it.
Yeah, so I was, and Tangelo said, well, I'll ask him, I'll let him know that we're going to have the discussion. I'll ask Darth to come onto your channel. And I was like, oh, please do. Please do.
good
Came
Lord.
on-
He won't
He
do it.
came on Speed's channel the other day, and Leo Felix put him in his place.
Kind of
I should
did.
mention my
Like, it's
my
fucking hard. Come on.
I know, I did too, just like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Brian did.
Open to
Unfortunately,
Darth
Darth
Dawkins.
will
Such a
never
punk
interact
ass
with me
bitch.
again. Darth doesn't like me. A year later, and fucking nearly 8,000 views, he's still pissed off at me. Doesn't
Oh.
like me. Won't talk to me. Won't respond to me. And bitches
Because of
about me
Richard?
behind my back. Still a year later, because I moderated him.
Richard
Because
has
of
also
Richard.
said. Richard said in the chat we should to me we should do another set of shows. So yes, I will probably be doing some shows with Richard in the near future too.
Can I make a
That's it. That's
suggestion?
my-
Can
that's
I
my
make a suggestion? If you book
Absolutely.
a show with Richard, tell him it's at 9 when actually it's at 11.
Yeah.
And
Probably
no
a
offense
good
to
idea.
Richard. Richard, no man, 7 months, love the man, all the rest of it, internet brother and all the rest of it and all that there. Man can't fucking tell time. Sorry,
No.
Richard.
I will join in with the can't tell time crowd.
Since DST, I've also been a little spotty with that too.
Yeah, my invitation extends to Otangelo and Darth Dawkins if they want to come on for a chat with Mr.
Yeah.
Ledger. I will.
Good luck with that.
I will sit there and I will giggle. I mean, I will take you very seriously.
Here, man, we'll get you Canadian Catholic as well. Have yourself some fun with Canadian Catholic.
Oh yeah.
Robbie, it's your
Invitation's
turn.
there.
Thursday, maybe not, depending on how work goes, depending on how much fucking steel I have to fucking lift on Thursday. Might have an open mic night. Next Monday, we will be having. I'm going to look so I don't mispronounce her name. Give me 1 second. Look down my messages so I don't fucking. Dave, put it in the chat so I know I don't mispronounce her name. Transatlantic, the new call-in show from
With Katie Montgomery and Arden of Eden.
Arden of Eden. Thank you very much. Arden of Eden will be coming on.
I think Dave fell asleep, so sorry.
Arden of Eden will be coming on Monday. We have to just slam down the time. She's off on Monday, said it should be okay. We just need to confirm later on in the week, but she should be coming on Monday to talk about the new show Transatlantic. And yeah, it's doing quite well. Fucker gets about 500 views when they're going live. So nice big show. We should be having them on. That should be fun.
Cool.
All right. Thank you. So once again, thanks to everyone that showed up in the chat, and thanks to all of you on the panel. We will see you next time. Don't forget to think critically. Bye.
Was this where I hit the...
Yeah.
Disney's not canon.
Bye! Think for yourself, people.
Bye.
You don't
Go, I love Manda and happy anniversary, honey.